The Indiana Pacers delivered a masterclass performance in Game 4, edging out the New York Knicks 130-121 and taking a commanding 3-1 series lead. With aspirations of clinching their first NBA Finals appearance in 25 years, Indiana showcased a balanced offensive surge and stifling defense. Tyrese Haliburton was the architect of the evening, registering a historic triple-double by finishing with 32 points, 15 assists, and 12 rebounds, all with 0 turnovers. Pascal Siakam's 30 points and the bench contribution from Bennedict Mathurin, who added 20 points, proved too much for New York, even as Jalen Brunson's 31 points and Karl-Anthony Towns' 24 points with 12 rebounds highlighted the Knicks' valiant efforts. The game unfolded in a series of dramatic chapters, each revealing more about both teams' capabilities and vulnerabilities. Welcome to Gintotski Sports, your spot for all things sports. From legendary moments and big-time plays to inspiring stories and deep dives, we bring you the content that keeps the game alive. If you love sports as much as we do, hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. From the opening tip, Indiana wasted no time setting the tone. In the first quarter, the Pacers exploded offensively, outscoring the Knicks by establishing an immediate rhythm that rattled New York's defense. Haliburton took charge immediately, orchestrating fast break opportunities with swift passes that caught the Knicks off balance. His ability to push transition plays led to easy finishes, while Siakam attacked mismatches in the paint. Mathurin and Aaron Nesmith capitalized on the Knicks' inconsistent perimeter coverage, knocking down open shots when the defensive rotations lagged. Despite Brunson's determined efforts in launching counterattacks, riding mid-range jumpers, and initiating offensive sets, the Knicks struggled to keep up. By the quarter's end, Indiana had tallied 43 points to New York's 35, a gap that forced the Knicks to reassess their defensive approach. In the second quarter, the Knicks attempted a spirited rally. Adjustments on the defensive end saw New York tighten rotations and increase pressure on Haliburton, while Brunson led an aggressive offensive push. New York managed to reclaim the lead briefly on several occasions by attacking Indiana's interior and forcing contact. Towns and Anunoby began to assert themselves inside, turning rebounds into quick offensive opportunities. However, Indiana's composure and well-drilled offense proved hard to shake. Haliburton's smooth ball movement and Siakam's dominance in the paint allowed the Pacers to neutralize New York's runs. In the final moment of the half, Indiana erupted on a decisive 6-0 run, regaining their momentum and finishing the quarter with a 69-64 lead. New York's improvements in this period were notable, but they were not enough to offset the Pacers' overall offensive advantage. The third quarter reflected a turning point where Indiana's relentless pressure started to wear down the Knicks. Indiana opened the period with a crisp 9-2 run, pushing the lead into double digits. Siakam continued to be a force in the paint, exploiting defensive mismatches and forcing the Knicks to adjust on the fly. Haliburton's slicing passes and incisive court vision disrupted New York's attempts at organization, while defender Miles Turner anchored Indiana's interior, contesting shots and hampering rebounds. Although the Knicks pressed back, Brunson hitting key perimeter shots to create a semblance of rhythm. Their inability to stem Indiana's continuous flow was clear. By the close of the third, Indiana had stretched its lead to 102-91, leaving New York facing a seemingly insurmountable deficit. In the decisive fourth quarter, the Knicks mounted a desperate comeback attempt. With determination fueled by the need to stay alive in the series, New York narrowed the gap significantly, cutting Indiana's lead to as little as 6 points on multiple occasions. Brunson and Towns spearheaded this late charge, igniting quick scoring runs that briefly brought hope to the Knicks sidelines. However, each time they gained ground, Indiana answered back with strong defensive plays and timely baskets. Haliburton, ever the consummate leader, maintained his composure and continued to distribute the ball effectively, ensuring that Siakam and Mathurin were available to keep the pressure on. The turning point came with a clutch three-pointer from Obi Toppin, who drilled the shot with just 46 seconds remaining to seal the victory. The tension was compounded by Towns limping off in the closing moments with a knee concern, a factor that began to cast a shadow over New York's prospects heading into Game 5. Indiana's performance in Game 4 underscored its multifaceted strengths and highlighted challenges they will need to address in the next contest. The Pacers' greatest strength lies in their offensive fluidity, powered by Haliburton's leadership. His ability to maintain a controlled pace while avoiding turnovers allowed Indiana to capitalize on transition opportunities, as evidenced by their advantage in fast break points against New York. Siakam's versatility in scoring from multiple areas on the floor further complicates the Knicks' defensive schemes, while Mathurin's bench contributions add valuable depth that ensures the offensive pressure remains constant. Despite these advantages, Indiana's rebounding was a concern. A 44-33 deficit against the Knicks allowed New York extra possessions and second-chance points, preventing the series from being decided by an even larger margin. As they prepare for Game 5, Indiana must refine defensive rotations and tighten the boards to minimize New York's offensive rebounds. Additionally, they need to be prepared for a more aggressive start from the Knicks, who will likely try to force early turnovers and counter the Pacers' rhythm. For the Pacers, the strategy heading into Game 5 must be predicated on maintaining early offensive composure and controlling the pace from the outset. Indiana's coaching staff will likely stress the importance of reducing turnovers further while exploiting mismatches through Haliburton's deep court vision. The plan is to continue leveraging their fast break opportunities by pushing the pace. If they can again force the Knicks into making poor decisions, evidenced previously by the excessive turnovers, the transition points will snowball into a decisive advantage. On the defensive end, Indiana must be prepared to curb New York star playmakers. They should focus on limiting Brunson's scoring by forcing him into tight, contested shots, while simultaneously ensuring that Towns does not capitalize on his physical advantage inside. The emphasis will also be on improving rebounding efforts, particularly on the offensive glass, to deny New York the additional possessions that have previously extended their runs. On the other side, the Knicks demonstrated resilience through their ability to rally in the second and fourth quarters. Brunson's playmaking and scoring were critical in keeping the team within striking distance, and Towns' presence in the paint provided a counterbalance to Indiana's perimeter attack. However, New York's defense fell short in several key areas, particularly on fast breaks, where Indiana outscored them 22-9. The Knicks' tendency to allow clean transition opportunities, stemming in part from a total of 17 turnovers that led to 20 points for Indiana, exposed vulnerabilities that the team must address urgently. For Game 5, New York's opportunity lies in turning their defensive aggression into a disruptor of Indiana's fluid offense. They must focus on stifling Haliburton's ability to orchestrate the game and force tougher, contested shots from Indiana's primary scorers. Achieving this will require greater discipline in defensive rotations and a more aggressive approach to contesting shots early in the possession. For the Knicks, their war room strategy for Game 5 will revolve around aggressive, high-pressure defense from the very first possession. The coaching plan is centered on disrupting Indiana's passing lanes, with specific assignments aimed at doubling or trapping Haliburton early to force the Pacers into more isolation plays rather than a cohesive offensive flow. New York will need to shift gears offensively by involving more players in scoring, reducing reliance on Brunson and Towns, especially if either struggles to get into a rhythm. Towns must assert his presence physically at the start of the game to challenge Indiana's interior defense and prevent them from setting up a comfortable transition offense. Additionally, the Knicks plan to tighten their rebounding efforts, particularly on the defensive end, to limit Indiana's fast break opportunities. By controlling the boards, New York can dictate the pace and force Indiana into half-court situations where more aggressive defense may neutralize the Pacers' advantages. The strategic goal is to reverse the momentum by making the Knicks' defense so disruptive that Indiana's signature offense is stifled, giving New York a better chance to claw back into the series. Indiana's commanding display in Game 4 has sent a clear message. They are on the cusp of their long-awaited NBA Finals appearance. Their offensive prowess, marked by Haliburton's historic performance and Siakam's aggressive scoring, drove the Pacers to a 130-121 victory despite moments when the Knicks showed sparks of life. New York's efforts, while valiant, were undermined by defensive lapses, particularly in transition and rebounding, that allowed Indiana to maintain its rhythm and build an insurmountable lead. As both teams prepare for Game 5, Indiana looks poised to capitalize on its strengths and address key areas such as rebounding and late-game composure, while the Knicks must recalibrate their defensive strategy and force a faster start to disrupt Indiana's flow. The forthcoming battle at Madison Square Garden will be one of resilience and tactical adjustments, a defining moment that could very well set the stage for the remainder of the Eastern Conference Finals. Thanks for watching Gintotski Sports. If that video hit home or gave you something to think about, drop a like and let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that bring the heart of sports to life. Until next time, stay inspired and keep chasing greatness.